This is CBC Here and Now.
A rally in St. John's calls for action against Islamophobia and racism.
Now is the time to close down those social media portals spewing hate and bigotry.
Coming up on Here and Now.
Air Canada is bringing back a bunch of flights starting in July, including a new daily flight from Deer Lake to Montreal. Is this the beginning of the end of pandemic life for this airport? I'll find out. That's tonight on Here.
Well, it's the last official weekend before summer starts, and at least half of it is looking pretty good.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan. We start tonight with calls for change. Nearly 2 weeks ago, after a targeted attack in London, Ontario, a rally in St. John's pushes for political action in support of the Muslim community. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports on the aftermath of a hate crime.
Imagine 2 days from now, on Father's Day, your 9-year-old boy waking up not only without his father, but only to find out that his entire family has disappeared.
A rally in front of the Al-Noor Mosque in St. John's today remembered the family that was killed in London, Ontario 2 weeks ago. As the result of an Islamophobic attack, 4 family members were killed. A 9-year-old boy was injured and is the only survivor.
This incident has left the Muslim community heartbroken and disappointed, to say the least. We're scared, anxious, and helpless, and I'm sure at some point a lot of us have thought that could have been me.
The rally was organized by different community groups. They called on politicians to make concrete changes and address Islamophobia.
When I look back at the growing trend of hatred, bigotry, and Islamophobia in Canada, a country which was once the beacon of tolerance, peace, and harmony, a country whose fabric was woven with all the ethnicities, races, and religions, making a beautiful and colorful collage. Now, right and in front of our eyes, that very fabric of peace and harmony is being torn apart.
It isn't enough to say that these are tragic losses or dark chapters, and our thoughts and prayers alone aren't enough. Apologies, condolences, and flags at half-mast help us begin to heal in response to a moment, but alone they are not enough to address the root causes that keep families and communities experiencing the loss of more and more loved ones at the hands of hate.
Speakers want to see a change in legislation to make Islamophobia illegal and to control right-wing hate speech in the media. Politicians were present at the event as well and promised to address hate crimes.
So as the role or the position the government of Newfoundland and Labrador has taken, which may be new, is to form a special ministerial committee on racism and to deal not only with issues of Islamophobia, but anti-Semitism, of racism, of bigotry, of Indigenous prejudice, to deal with all elements that are systemic in our society that need to be dealt with.
Many emotional accounts were given at the vigil today, and they all told government, time for condolences is over, it's time for action. Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
There are questions being raised tonight over why the Francophone school in St. John's suspended meetings of the Gay-Straight Alliance. The NDP is questioning the move. CBC News has learned that teachers at the school contacted their union, complaining that the meetings had stopped. Here Now's Mark Quinn reports.
There are signs of Pride Month all over St. John's right now, but as many celebrate, there's one school where the Gay-Straight Alliance meetings were temporarily halted. And teachers at l'École des Grands Vents have complained to their union about the suspension. And now the NDP is weighing in. MHA Jim Din says schools must send a consistent message to all students, a message that everyone is welcome and included. He worries that suspending meetings of a Gay-Straight Alliance group, even briefly, negates that.
It can send a very chilling message that, okay, maybe I'm not welcome here, that I'm not safe. If having the club sends a message, suspending it sends an even more of a dangerous and maybe an even more homophobic message.
A spokesperson for the school here confirmed 2 meetings of the Gay-Straight Alliance were suspended as the Francophone School District worked to improve the framework governing the club. but Din questions if that was the right decision.
The question I would have to ask is, why did you need to suspend 2 meetings to begin with? What is the issue here? There's no good reason as to why.
The school says the club was established to provide a safe, inclusive space and will resume meetings next week. The director of the French school district wasn't available to answer questions. A district spokesperson said there's no need for an interview as the issue has been clarified with the teachers' union and the provincial education department. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
The Nunavut government is going to take over responsibility for child welfare services from the provincial government. It's going to take some time, but the Nunavut Department of Health and Social Development is working on a plan. Minister Gerald Asavac says they want to encourage more foster homes in their communities so children can be closer to their families. Once his department takes over, Asavac expects there will be better quality care incorporating Inuit ways of life, elders, and prevention work.
There's still a high number of children and families involved. The practice, we feel, is very colonial. It's outdated. Children and families have come to us on numerous occasions over the years saying, we need our own, meaning our own system to care for our children and our families and our communities.
Another beautiful day, certainly here in the metro area. Some of you shared some pictures on social media today of a sun halo. Let's take a look at one of the pictures that was sent in. This is basically caused by some high cirrus that's in the upper atmosphere, and it's normally indicative of rain over the next 24 hours. So there certainly is a chance we could see some rain as we head into Saturday night. So if you are planning on doing any outdoor things, for example, staining your deck, as long as you get it done in the first part of the day, you should be okay through the afternoon on Saturday. We might see the slight chance of some showers as we head into the evening and overnight. But because it is the weekend, lots of people heading out, potentially. The fire index has really jumped up again. We're looking at a number of areas seeing high, very high, or extreme for that fire risk through Central and pretty much across the board, really. So if you are planning on heading out, keep that in mind this weekend and do not leave any fire unattended until it is completely out. So as we head through the weekend, we are looking at some rain as we head into Sunday, though, for parts of the province, and I will get into those details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. The provincial government didn't want to buy in, but there's word tonight that a well-known St. John's businessman wants a piece of the Terra Nova oil field. Here Now's Terry Roberts looks at why Dean McDonald might pony up millions to get involved.
Dean McDonald says he's eager to invest some of his vast wealth in this province, and now he wants to open his wallet to the offshore oil and gas industry. More specifically, he wants to become a partner in the precarious Terra Nova oil field. McDonald owns the Newfoundland Growlers, but his business interests stretch far beyond sports. Through his private equity investment firm, McDonald has business holdings throughout North America and the United Kingdom. He's also a major shareholder in a Calgary oil services company called Clearstream with 3,000 employees. McDonald has close links to the Liberal Party and has previously flirted with the idea of seeking the leadership. Now, I spoke with Dean McDonald today, and he would not do a recorded interview, but he told me he's angling to purchase up to 20% in the Terra Nova oil field. Now, if that were to occur, it would make him a major player in one of this province's 4 mature oil fields. Terra Nova operator Suncor announced earlier this week that an agreement in principle has been reached to restructure the project ownership. This fall, they intend to go ahead with work to extend the life of the project at a cost of about $600 million. When that's done, the Terra Nova is expected to return offshore for another decade of production. But some of the 7 oil companies want to leave the project, and the rest plan to increase their ownership. McDonald was not part of this week's agreement in principle, but he tells me that some of the oil companies have reached out to him. Now, he wouldn't say how much money he's prepared to invest, but in the coming weeks, he says he's hoping to negotiate a deal that will make him a partner in the Terra Nova. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Still with the oil and gas business, union workers at the Come By Chance Refinery have ratified a new collective agreement with Silver Peak, the company that owns and runs the refinery. 96% of workers voted in favor of the new agreement, which includes some improvements to wages and seniority rules. That's according to Ron Thomas, the United Steelworkers representative for this province. The deal is reliant on Silver Peak selling the refinery to Cresta Fund Management. He said if they take over, Cresta will convert the refinery to begin producing biofuels. The union isn't sure how many workers would remain at the refinery under Cresta's ownership, but it's hopeful for the future. In other news now, the Newfoundland and Labrador Court of Appeal has certified a class action lawsuit involving people who live in Mud Lake in central Labrador. It's been 4 years since residents of Mud Lake fled their homes at night as water from the Churchill River rose around them. And people whose homes were flooded in 2017 are looking for compensation. The court ruled that the suit against Nalcor can proceed. The provincial government was dropped as a co-defendant. The lawyer handling the case for the residents says their claims are modest and believes Nalcor should come to the table to resolve them. The provincial government has sued 3 companies over damage to a ship in its ferry fleet. The MV Gallipoli serves Ramia, Grey River and Burgeo on Newfoundland's south coast, but right now it's here in St. John's Harbour. It was knocked out of service in January after rocks, glass and wire bristle were all found in the ship's lube oil system. The province blames past negligent repairs. At this point, there's no dollar amount specified in the lawsuit, and none of the allegations have been proven in court. Officials say the Gallipoli is expected to be back in service by the end of this month. There's more on our website, cbc.ca/NL. Convicted murderer Brian Doyle will continue to serve his life sentence behind bars. A hearing was held this afternoon to determine whether or not a decision made in April to cancel Doyle's day parole would be upheld. Officials ruled the Parole Board of Canada made the right decision 2 months ago. Doyle pleaded guilty back in 2002 to second-degree murder of Catherine Carroll. Her son, Greg Parsons, was wrongfully convicted of the murder and spent time in prison. Doyle, who was Parsons' former childhood friend, was granted parole or day parole in April of last year, but it was revoked after concerns he failed to report he was in a relationship with a woman, which was one of the conditions of his release. The group organizing the province's first residential hospice is close to its goal for fundraising to get construction started, but now it's turning to the public for help. For the past 5 years, the organizers with the Lionel Kelland Hospice have been working on building a 10-bed palliative care residence. It will provide quality end-of-life care for patients and their families. But it'll cost more than $7.5 million, and they're $2.5 million short. They've launched a new public campaign to raise money. The group hopes to have the rest of the cash by the end of the year and then put the design to tender, with hopes of opening the doors to the hospice in 2022. It's always nice to have a little bit of good COVID news to share, and we've reached some big milestones today with COVID. Let's start by talking about vaccinations. We've now vaccinated 75% of the eligible population with their first dose. That's one of the benchmarks needed to reopen to travel on July 1st. There was more good news today. There were no new cases of COVID reported for the first time in 7 weeks. That means we're down to 22 active cases. That's thanks to 10 recoveries today. The number of active cases has been falling pretty steadily. Let's take a look at how that looks. Over the last month, it was 104 cases back on May 30th. It's now down to 22 today. It hasn't been this low since April. While falling COVID numbers is good for the travel industry, and the Deer Lake Airport is ramping back up. This week, Air Canada announced it's restarting some routes and even adding one new one. Here now's Colleen Connors checked in with the airport on their plan.
While this place is quiet today, the mood here is shifting.
We're having more people being hired. We're developing more passes for people because there's more hires happening with the airlines, with Allied Aviation. Car rental people are getting much busier. So it's a great feeling to start to see more activity.
Air Canada announced a summer flight schedule with a long list for Atlantic Canadian destinations. The airline has scaled back during the pandemic, but says it's now taking into account the easing of government restrictions and provincial reopenings. But Air Canada is trying something new in Deer Lake, a daily flight to Montreal. In a statement to CBC, Air Canada says the new route will improve the number of connections and allow greater access to Air Canada's network and make transit more convenient for travelers.
You know, the timing of the flight is in the afternoon, and so it will allow people to have connections on to Western Canada, so either, even going to Toronto, but beyond that, so Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and up to the north.
After an extremely quiet year, the head of the airport authority says it's great to see flights returning.
Last summer when we talked, Colleen, we were looking at about 40% of our routes that we would have compared to 2019 numbers, and now in July we're going to be closer to 50, even up towards 60%, and that's fabulous. Obviously that's just aircraft, and we do need to see the people, the passengers, filling those aircraft.
Priddle hopes the second vaccine will help that. She reassures travelers that the airport staff take every possible safety precaution, even asking family and friends to wait outside when picking up travelers. While everyone waits for flights to return, replacing and resurfacing of the runway aprons started this week. That work will finish up this summer, just in time for Provincial Airlines to start its expansion, adding 12 new routes to the schedule, including Halifax, Fredericton, St. John, Charlottetown, Ottawa, and several Quebec destinations. Well, these new flights start the end of June, June 28th, and hopefully this airport will be bustling this summer. Colleen Connor, CBC News, Deer Lake.
Look at that, a gorgeous evening out there in St. John's, but is the sunshine going to stick around for the weekend? Ashley will have all those details coming up.
This weather update is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. It's time to explore the great wide open. Plan your trip at yourbackyardbeckons.ca.
We're heading into the weekend, and if you took today off, certainly on the island, you were rewarded with a nice, beautiful day. I know I went out and got a hike in before work this morning. Please tell me, Ashley, it's going to be nice through the rest of the weekend so we can really enjoy it.
Yeah, there are parts of the weekend that are going to be beautiful, particularly the first half. As we get into Sunday, things will start to get a little bit more unsettled for the island anyway. But yeah, today, absolutely gorgeous. Another day in the 20s for the majority of the island. Let's take a look at those daytime highs today. 22 degrees in St. John's, 23 in Bonavista so far. And then we've got those temperatures similar to that through Central, a little bit cooler right along the coast, along the southern shore, or south coast rather, but the further inland you go, those temperatures are much warmer, and then reach the double digits today finally in Nain. I've been talking about how chilly it has been, but about 10 degrees was your afternoon high. Current temperature still sitting there into the 20s. It will be a beautiful evening, it looks like. We're only going to lose a few degrees as we head through the overnight tonight. But if you were out at all, you may have noticed a little bit of humidity in the air. Not too much to speak of. It only felt a degree or two warmer through eastern areas and then through central as well. But overall, a beautiful evening. We do have an area of low pressure to the north that's bringing some showers and is also sparking some thunderstorms just west of Lab City right now, and that risk will continue as we head through the next couple of hours for you in the west. Otherwise, you can see not a whole lot happening across the island, just a little bit of cloud cover, but overall a beautiful night, and that will be the story as we head through the night tonight. Not a whole lot to talk about. Generally clear skies, and the little bit of wind that is out there will ease as we head through the early morning hours. And then across Labrador, it's going to stay unsettled tonight. Chance of a few showers, but we should see some partly cloudy skies as we get into the early morning hours for the majority of the Big Land. And then temperatures, again, like I said, not too bad. Down to the teens, 16 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay is your overnight low tonight, 10 to 14 elsewhere. And then across the island, anywhere from 9 to 14 degrees will be the overnight lows. With the chance of showers, like I said, towards coastal Labrador, but then we actually should see some clearing skies as we get into the morning. And the first half of tomorrow looking beautiful to start for the Big Land. Then you'll see some showers move into the afternoon as well. And then that risk of thunderstorms will continue for Lab West as well through the afternoon. And then not a whole lot happening across the island either. Sunshine tomorrow, beautiful, but we'll see some clouds, it looks like, into the afternoon for eastern areas of the island. And don't be surprised if you see a few spits of rain. It shouldn't amount to much, but into the evening we may see that, and then into the overnight as well. It's a slight chance, but it's still there nonetheless. So temperatures tomorrow will be beautiful. Another day in the 20s for the most part. Temperatures now along southern parts of the Avalon will see some cooler temperatures again thanks to those southeasterly winds, but the further inland you go you should reach the 20s. Winds pretty light tomorrow, 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. As we head towards central, a little bit warmer, 24, 25, 26 degrees will be the afternoon highs with plenty of sunshine, maybe a few clouds in the mix, but overall a beautiful afternoon. We'll say goodbye to the little bit of humidity that there is, but that will go. And then as we head towards the west coast, again into the 20s, 23 to 25 degrees. I'm keeping those temperatures in the teens again along the south coast, but again, the further inland you go, the warmer the temperatures should reach the 20s as your afternoon highs. Beautiful for the northern peninsula and southeastern Labrador. Now towards mid-coast, Cartwright, you're going to see the chance of a few showers through the day. You'll see some sun at times too, but however, the further west you go, the more cloud cover, more showers. And again, that risk of a few thunderstorms again in Lab City tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures between 17 to 19 degrees and then a little cooler again towards the coast. So that's a look at tomorrow's forecast. Now into Sunday, we're going to see that chance of showers move back in across the island, but I'll get into all of those details coming up.
Congratulations, full stop to government. Whatever they did or didn't do, whatever the case is, it worked out with the result that we had looked for.
Who gets credit for Terra Nova moving ahead? And did government give up too much? Our political veterans are up next. Terra Nova project will still go ahead without government buying an equity stake in the project. Suncor made that announcement this week to the relief of many, but government is still handing over $200 million in cash and giving up most of the oil royalties. So did the province get a good deal? Well, our political veterans have some thoughts. Sandy Collins is a former PC cabinet minister, Colin Holloway, a former Liberal MHA, and Jerry Rogers, former NDP leader. Sandy, let's start with you. You were the most critical of government last week, mostly around what they wouldn't say about the project when they put their foot down and said no to an equity stake. What do you make of the fact now that they managed to get this project going ahead without having to give that up?
Well, we made a friendly wager off air last week that if this was to be done without the equity stake by government, I would wear red. And so here you are, me wearing red. At this point, I can be complimentary of government, and that's where I think it needs to be. I'll echo the words of the official opposition leader, who was also very complimentary. At this point, I don't know if it was luck or strategy, but at the end of the day, it got the result that we needed, and hopefully it's going to put people back to work. So again, congratulations, full stop to government. Whatever they did or didn't do, whatever the case is, it worked out with the result that we had looked for. So again, this is great news for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
And Colin, I want to ask you, how much of a win is this for Ferry himself?
I think it is a win for him. It was a bit of a risk here, but there's some other things that we might remind ourselves. I mean, we have an equity stake in the West White Rose project, $110 million. That's on hold, and that as a province, we stand to lose that money. So those things are influencing what Ferry needed to do here. In some respects, he had no other choice but to hold out and say, we're not buying any more equity. And assuming equity, 15%, also assumes the decommissioning costs, which some people estimate to be as much as $1 billion. So 15% of that would put us, up several $100 million again. So it was good gamble on his part, but I think the writing was also there that the risks were getting too great.
Okay, I want to ask about the province agreeing to give up most of the royalties. Instead of getting around $330 million from the oil that gets pumped out, the province will get just $30 million. So should the province have given up that revenue in exchange for the promise of continued jobs and other economic benefits? Jerry, what do you think?
Well, I think that really the province was over an oil barrel. When you're held over a barrel, well, we're over an oil barrel. And I'm not so sure that this is absolutely a good job. I believe life has been so tough for our workers in the oil and gas industry, whether they were working here in Newfoundland and Labrador or working in Alberta. It's been really tough for the past few years. And it's totally an uncertain industry right now. Things are changing globally so quickly. So, it's a job to say, is this a good deal? Is it not? Is it really going to happen? We know that this is a tentative deal. So Sandy wearing his red shirt, which is really only pink right now, I think is appropriate, because either it's going to get redder if in fact this ends up being a solid deal, or it may fade to white, who knows? But we were in a crisis situation, and we still are. We're in a climate crisis situation. There's no doubt about that globally. What's happening again, changing so quickly across the globe. But there is no plan. There is no plan for the next crisis. There is no plan for just transition for our workers. And God knows our workers were really held over an oil barrel. So we gave up a lot.
Charlene Johnson talks about there's a potential of $1.49 billion to be made over 10 years. I mean, that's significant risk. We know, having come through a pandemic, that anything can happen. You're anticipating that you'll go the full 10 years with this life extension project, but there are no guarantees. I mean, we could have some significant hurricanes and that'll throw the market off. And when you don't have equity stake, and I agree that we should not have equity stake in this, but there are other players, bigger players are going to make a decision whether this project continues for 10 years or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, we're not going to make the kind of money that the oil industry or the advocates for the oil industry are saying we can make by the province investing nearly $500 million.
Yes, so what happens is that oil was going to be the goose that lays the golden egg. And in fact, what's happening, it could be oil is just going to leave us with a goose egg in terms of this deal rather than the golden egg. And it's tough. Oil companies, the risk that they have is the risk about their profits, whereas the risk for the province is the risk about debt, and it's about programs, and it's about the future for our workers. So it's a tough time. It's a tough time. It's job to say where this is going.
Sandy, I want to ask you, what happens if Equinor, which we heard some good news about their Beta Nord project, they're now talking about 1 billion barrels of oil. What if they say, well, hold on a second, we don't want to pay royalties either. If you want the jobs and you want to be able to have this project go ahead, you're going to have to give up those royalties because otherwise it's just not going to be profitable. Have we set any sort of precedent here? What do you think?
I think we have, and we won't know how serious that precedence is taken or how it will impact those coming forward next. But certainly, I think if I was at the helm of an oil company and look at this, what's transpired over the last number of days and weeks, I would certainly be in that headspace. And certainly, if I can get more from a deal from the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, certainly you can't fault them for wanting to do that. So I think how the Premier and how government position this deal, and it's being a one-off, I think that's going to be very important on a go-forward basis, because I think this is going to be something that's going to be discussed each and every time that we're in negotiations. So how, I guess, to Jerry's point, this is not a done deal. There's still things that have to be done. And I think this is one of the more important things, is separating this, what we've done this week, from what will be done in the future, because otherwise we're going to be right back doing this over and over again.
And we cannot ignore what's happening. The technology across the globe is changing so quickly. We really don't know what's coming down the pike in 10 years from now. The oil companies know that. For sure, they know that. And our government has been ignoring that and has not been preparing for it.
Just to go back to Sandy's comment about, giving up royalties, and maybe, Equinor may come and ask for similar kind of deal. The other thing that's, we talked about in the last number of years with the oil industry is about local benefits. And so that could be a part of a trade-off if we want, the oil industry to be going ahead until we transition into a more green economy. Let's not forget that when Suncor decided to sanction this project in 2019, the refit was going to go to Spain. That project was awarded to Spain. Even Premier Ferry this week does allude to what things need to happen here in a refit, as opposed to what will go outside the province or outside the country. And I would think that as we're transitioning between economies, that trade-off will also be on the table. Not only royalties, but also what kind of work is needed to be done here, going to be done here, and what can be done outside of the country.
Absolutely.
Well, it's an interesting discussion. Thanks so much, all three of you, for weighing in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
This project stemmed out of me wanting a pandemic project.
It's a dizzying display, 100 mini houses, all created during COVID. We'll meet the artist. That's coming up next. Well, during the pandemic, artist Molly Margaret began drawing some of the colorful homes throughout downtown St. John's. She's ended up with 100 drawings in all. They're now on display at the Eastern Edge Gallery until next Saturday. It's called 100 Mini Houses. Take a look.
My name is Molly Margaret. I'm a freelance illustrator and creator living in downtown St. John's. 100 Mini Houses, a downtown exploration, is an exhibition of 100 miniature houses in downtown St. John's. This project stemmed out of me wanting a pandemic project. When the pandemic hit, I realized it was going to be a long time before we could get back to doing gallery shows and exhibitions and stuff like that. So I wanted a long-term project to kind of get me through it. I've always had a fascination with architecture. Looking through my sketchbooks and kind of creating an idea for a pandemic project, I realized how much architecture and houses was very prevalent in my work. I just wanted to show the magic of downtown St. John's through my eyes. I definitely made a choice with 100. It was, I think the challenge was really exciting at the beginning, and it was exciting throughout the whole thing, but besides my thesis in school, when I went to university, I had never really done a long-term project like this. I mean, it took 441 days for the project, so there was definitely a burnout period around number 70 where I just, it was really hard to get through, but by the end of it, it was amazing. It was a great opportunity for myself as an artist. So I finished painting in late April, and I had an opening night at Bannerman Brewing Co. Now it's at Eastern Edge Gallery, and I'm so thankful for them to have me here until June 26th. So if you're downtown, it's a great little gallery space, and you can come down and visit.
Whether you're painting homes during the pandemic or just working from one, COVID has changed many of our work lives. But now, for many, more vaccinations and dropping case numbers likely mean a return to the office. Whether that's back to work for a full week or maybe just a hybrid model may have consequences. Diane Buckner explains.
Carlos Seo is happy with his home office setup.
It cuts down the commute time, that's for sure. So, you do have sort of more hours in your day.
He had been hesitant to take advantage of the workplace flexibility his employer offered prior to the pandemic, but now he's on board in a big way.
I think I'll be at home probably 2 to 3 times a week.
Working from home has proven to be incredibly popular. Statistics Canada says 80% of those surveyed say they would like to work at least half of their hours from home once the pandemic is over. But that doesn't mean all offices will only be half full.
We're fully leased with the first tower, and we have a substantial pre-lease in place for the second building.
This brand new 3 million square foot development in Toronto is attracting plenty of tenants with amenities such as a fancy food court and a gym.
That's what people don't necessarily have when they're working at home.
Business is a team sport, and it's difficult to play with only part of the team.
But this CEO says employees who opt to work from home, even part-time, could find it a career-limiting move.
There's the old saying, 90% of success is showing up.
An American study of career success at a U.S. tech firm, pre-COVID, found that the more often someone worked from home, the less likely they were to see pay increases.
We are competing for rewards, a limited amount of promotions and salary increases. And there is a stigma associated with using flexible work practices.
I think the professional...
Carlos Seo has no worries about how working from home may affect his career.
I think we'll all be on a level playing field regardless of how often each individual comes into the office.
He says the pandemic proved people can be productive anywhere, and he hopes that stigma against working from home is outdated. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
It certainly feels like summer out there today, Ashley, but summer doesn't officially arrive until Monday. What's the weather going to look like for the official arrival?
Yeah, that's all right. Actually, summer arrives at 1 a.m. on Monday morning, so nice and early.
I will not be
like
getting up early in order to let her in.
Fair enough, fair enough. I don't think anybody will be. And you might not want to either, because it's not going to be too nice to start for Monday. I mean, we're going to see these nice temperatures stick around, but it will be a little bit unsettled. Let's take a look at the future tracker. We'll start on Sunday. Nice to start for the day on Sunday for most of us. The West Coast, however, you're going to be in some of that cloud cover, and then some showers are going to work their way through as a weak area of low pressure keeps things unsettled through the day. And then again, Monday morning, we're going to see that chance of a few showers sticking around, certainly in eastern areas of the island. And then by Monday afternoon, we'll actually see some clearing skies, it looks like. And then the next low will move north of Labrador, but it will keep things unsettled for you. And that will really stick around as we head into Wednesday as well. So temperatures, though, on Sunday looking beautiful. We're going to continue to see these 20-degree days, a little cooler for the West Coast, keeping your high in Corner Brook around 18 degrees. Similar temperatures for the northern portion, the northern peninsula. And again, it'll stay cloudy for Sunday morning for the West Coast, and then eventually we'll see that cloud cover head further east as we head through the day. By Sunday supper time, probably in the metro areas, when we'll see that chance of showers, and then staying cloudy across Labrador. Temperatures still pretty mild, though, 16 to 20 degrees. The northern portion, though, into the single digits. So that's the story through Monday as well. And then, like I said, showers to start, but we should see some sun through the afternoon. Those temperatures are going to start to creep back up again. And also, we're going to start to see that return of that humidity as well. You'll certainly notice that through central and western Newfoundland. And then as we head through the rest of the week into next week, the official start of summer anyway, looking pretty nice. Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud, 22 degrees, 23 by Wednesday. But things will stay a little bit unsettled, so that chance of showers will stick around. Overnight lows into the teens again. And then for central Newfoundland, by Tuesday, look at that, 28 degrees, 26 for Wednesday, so certainly feeling like summer. 16 to 18 is your overnight lows. And then for western Newfoundland, similar forecast as far as Tuesday goes, 29, Wednesday 27. So we're certainly getting into some of that nicer temperatures. Eastern Labrador should stay cloudy, and the chance of showers, temperatures will dip into Wednesday, and Wednesday night really we're going to start to see those temperatures back down to the single digits. I wanted to share this photo, some apple blossoms after the rain. This was taken in Mount Pearl. Rob shared that one with us, and if you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Fred Frost was hardly out of the womb when he started throat singing. His mother taught him the Inuit tradition when he was just a baby. Now he says singing keeps him connected to her. He made a video with First Light Friendship Center and the National Center for Collaboration on Indigenous Education, sharing his voice and his story.
Hi, my name is Fred. I'm 12 and I'm from St. John's, Newfoundland. I feel that throat singing is a way for me to embrace my culture, other than avoiding it. It's harder to accept who you are if you don't give yourself the chance. What is throat singing? Throat singing is a competition between two people where you use a deep part in your voice, in your throat, to make a song. The other person repeats these noises, but never in sync. Throat singing mimics the sounds of Mother Nature, like the goose, the gulls, the wind, and the river. In throat singing, eye contact is very important, which makes it even more fun and even harder not to laugh. Throat singing has been a big part of my life since I was younger. I had already started throat singing before I could talk.
Do it again.
Throat singing has been a big part of my life, and it has been a bond between me and my mom. And my mom had learned how to throat sing just before she was pregnant with me. She had learned from my Aunt Jenny. Throat singing was used as breathing control for women, so when the time came to birth their children, they were prepared. My mom had started teaching me throat singing when I was 10 months old. Men or women can throat sing. It doesn't matter what gender you are. If you are a young man, I encourage you to throat sing because it was really fun. I have performed throat singing a few times in front of an audience with my mom. It makes me really proud to share my culture with other people.
Let's take a look at who's celebrating this week. Happy 50th anniversary to Rita and Gordon Thomas, originally from Mount Pearl, now living in Nanaimo, BC. Celebrating 50 years together are Harold and Grace Knoll of Clarenville. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Patrick and Catherine Ryan, originally from Ferryland, now living in Mount Pearl. Happy anniversary to Tom and Joan Whalen of Gander, who celebrated their 56th wedding anniversary. Maisie and Martin Marsden are celebrating their 50th anniversary, originally from Francois, now living in Bedford, Nova Scotia. Dennis and Sharon Dunn are celebrating their 52nd wedding anniversary, originally from St. John's, now living in PEI. Calvin and Nellie Oram are celebrating their 54th anniversary. Anniversary greetings for Frank and Janet Kelly, who are celebrating their 51st anniversary. Happy 69th wedding anniversary to Classy and Albert Marshall of Port aux Basques. Happy 60th anniversary for Harold and Betty Shepherd of Point Leamington. Happy 50th anniversary to Michael and Linda Hayes of Petty Harbor. Happy 56th anniversary to Wince and Jean Keane of Mount Pearl. Happy 53rd anniversary to Joe and Stella French from Coley's Point. It's a 53rd anniversary for Bernard and Lorna Hayward, formerly from Newfoundland, now living in Port Elgin, Ontario. Happy 54th anniversary to William and Ada Farrell of Marystown. Happy 58th wedding anniversary to Mervyn and Lorraine Rideout of Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy anniversary to Anne and Bill Gorman from West Bay Centre, who celebrate their 51st. Happy 55th wedding anniversary to Melvin and Gloria Pinson of Clarenville. Happy 51st wedding anniversary to Mary and John Roach of St. John's. It's also a 51st anniversary for Wilford and Eunice Cutler from Ramia. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Calvin and Barbara Gibbons of Mount Pearl. They're celebrating today. Howard and Blanche Oates of the town of Massey Drive are celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. Happy 66th anniversary to Dawn and Sybil Noble of Gander Bay. Wishing Joan and Joseph Hicks of Harbor, Maine a happy 61st wedding anniversary. Happy 50th anniversary wishes going out to Wayne and Kathleen Harvey of St. John's. It's also a golden anniversary for Andrew and Catherine Higdon of Dildo. Happy 50th anniversary to Peter and Mary Godsland of Old Shop. Happy 61st anniversary greetings going out to Dawn and Georgina Banfield. Happy 50th anniversary to John and Sheila Shepherd of Gander. Very happy wedding anniversary greetings going out to Harry and Belinda Shywalk from Rigolette, who celebrated their 50th anniversary. Happy golden anniversary to Larry and Emily Norman, originally from Bay Verte, now living in Pasadena. That's it for the anniversaries. Let's take a look at some of the birthdays. Happy 95th birthday to Barbara White from Gander. Wishing Lucy Farrell a happy 99th birthday from family and friends. She's currently living in Burgeo. Happy 92nd birthday to Margaret Mullins of Fortune, who turned 92. Happy 93rd birthday to Barbara Shepherd, who still line dances and is an active member of the YMCA. Roy Mabey of St. John's will be celebrating his 90th birthday tomorrow. Congratulations. Wishing Austin Park of McIvers a very happy 90th birthday. Happy 91st birthday to Teresa Dobbin of Port Saunders. Happy 94th birthday to Eric Stanley of Clarenville. And we've saved the biggest for last. Happy 100th birthday to Marie Sullivan of Calvert. Congratulations to everyone, and she's definitely not old enough to make it into the birthdays and anniversaries, but we want to wish a special happy retirement and goodbye to one of our own tonight. Ramona Deering, the host of Crosstalk, turned off her microphone for the last time this afternoon.
Premier Dwight Ball says it all means that we won't face increases in power rates or taxes because of the hydro project. He's here in studio now to get your reaction.
Ramona has been the host of Crosstalk for more than a decade, chatting with people from all over the province, from premiers to gardening experts on her ever-popular gardening shows. She started with CBC as a reporter in Happy Valley Goose Bay and then moved behind the scenes before coming back in front of the microphone and the camera.
Hi, Jonathan. I'm Ramona. Thanks for coming. Hi,
Daryl.
Ramona, nice to meet you. Come on in.
Ramona has won several awards for her work, which often tackled some tough issues such as inequality and around accessibility. Ramona spent a lot of her journalism career exploring the impact of decisions and stories on residents of the province. Her stories often explored ways things could be done better. We want to wish Ramona all the best in her retirement. Certainly well earned for her. And that does it for us for Here and Now for this week. I'll be back with you and Carolyn. We'll be here on Monday. Have a good weekend. Some good news with no COVID today, and we won't be getting any COVID numbers throughout the weekend. Government is going to suspend those, and it'll be Tuesday before we get an update. So go out, enjoy it, have fun.